I'm basically like 80 in internet age. It is your boy Gips, and we are back. I've been getting a lot of comments talking about my age. I know I'm old, yeah. The one good thing that comes with age, though, is wisdom. And that's what I'm gonna impart to you guys today. My wisdom and knowledge about how I look so glowing and radiant. It's called softmaxing now, but to be honest with you, I just called it taking care of yourself back in the day. So we're gonna be talking about my methods for softmaxing. All right, method number one. Method number one is gonna be skincare. I'm grouping this with grooming as well. Okay, guys, so we got this funny little picture of a cat saying skincare because he's popping his pimple, which you shouldn't do. This is definitely one of the biggest pillars, if not the biggest one when it comes to softmaxing. What is the first thing that you see on a person? Their skin. If they have some really dry skin, some really ashy skin, flaky, whatever, all that kind of stuff, you're gonna notice it. I personally dived in when I was 18, right when I got into college, and I'll tell you the story of why I started taking my skincare seriously. I was hanging out at my dorms one day, and we were just in like the lounging area, and this guy that I knew, he was a cool dude. He came up to me one day, we were just like hanging out, and he said, "Yo, G, did you jizz on your face?" And I'm like, huh? And I looked and I was like, oh my God, my skin is so dry that it looks like there was jizz on my face. So that's the story of why I started taking my skincare seriously at the ripe age of 18. You can take it step by step. That's how I would suggest doing it. If you don't have a regimen, a morning and night regimen, I would highly suggest starting one first off. It's a very simple thing. All you have to do is start with some type of face cleanser, right? Then go into either a toner. If you don't want to go into a toner to help pH balance and help with your pores, you can go straight into like a serum, right? Like a retinol if it's at night. If it's during the day, I would suggest a vitamin C. You know, you can Google it. And then pretty much finishing off with a moisturizer after that. And if it's during the day and there's a lot of sunlight, a moisturizer with SPF, because you don't want to get wrinkly. You want to start off with the basics at first. That is vital. You're going to see those differences very, very quickly, especially if you didn't have a set routine to begin with. Skin is one of those things that if you start off early, it's gonna pay off in the long run. A lot of people still think I'm in my early to mid 20s. I'm not. I'm an unk. I really owe it to the skincare that I implanted in myself very early on. With that being said, skincare is going to be our first entry into S tier. You don't wanna look like a piece of leather. All right, guys, moving on to method number two. Method number two is create a fitness plan. Health plan, fitness plan. You get the picture. We have this awesome picture of Deku from My Hero Academia being saved while he's bench pressing. We got All Might in the background. So fitness plan, health plan, whatever you want to call it, very, very important. That doesn't just mean, oh, I got to be a lifter. I have to bench, I have to squat, I have to deadlift. I have to do like a specific thing. The most important thing is that you get physical activity. You get exercise. So whether you mix it in with resistance training, like lifting, or cardiovascular training like running, cycling, etc., or maybe like a hobby sport, rock climbing, skateboarding, anything like that, you want to have a balanced plan to make sure that you get adequate activity. I think as a society, we definitely lack movement. I'm a part of that, right? I try to get as much movement as possible because I sit down a lot. And when you sit down, your hips hurt and your whole back hurts and then you can't do anything. You don't want that. That is not good. We don't want that. All right, buddy? You don't have to become a bodybuilder or power lifter or a strongman or any kind of specific thing. Just have balance. It will reflect in your physique. At the very minimum, get at least 3 or 4 days of true activity during the week, whether it's lifting, running, cardiovascular training. You could be swimming, rock climbing, blah, blah, blah. Anything that I've mentioned. Healing. I'm a healer. You know, if you're healing as an adult, you're fit. You're gonna feel good. You're gonna be lighter. You might have better flexibility, mobility. Your whole outlook on life is just gonna be 500 times better if you have fitness dialed in. So start with that. If I could only pick one, fitness, for real. This is gonna be our second entry into the S tier. This is the backbone of aesthetics. All right, moving on to method number 3, sleep and or recovery. We have this cool picture of Goku in the healing tank. He's recharging himself, which is something that you should do or consider doing every single day or managing it. This one is a big one, in my opinion. With how busy life is these days, it gets tougher and tougher, not only to find sleep, but also to find quality sleep. Quality of sleep is more important than the number of hours. So how you rest, how you recover, making sure that your bed is comfortable, that you have a stable temperature in your room, you're not overheating, and it's also not too cold that it's uncomfortable. If you don't sleep well and you don't recover well, it's gonna reflect. You're gonna get eye bags, you're gonna have wrinkles are gonna start to develop, fine lines, things like that. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's like a preemptive way to start aging. I'd say there's some simple ways to do that. Trying to get 6 to 8 hours of quality sleep. At night, I know we're all on our phones all the time, but I try to have a cutoff point even for myself where I say, gotta put this down, I gotta relax. I do some stretching, a little bit of foam rolling, just a way to relax the body, the mind, so that when you go into sleep, you can kind of just not like, oh, I'm gonna rest, but I'm gonna be on my phone and like, resting is like actually like shutting down all of your systems and then turning that switch from on to off. You want to maximize that because when you turn that back on, you want to be at 100%, right? But if you're only at like 30 to 40% off, right, and your mind is still kind of racing around, well, you're not going to get enough rest. So you're going to be like this. You're going to be like on, barely rest, and then you're going to be on again, but then you're going to crash. Boom. So simple maximization tips, 6 to 8 hours quality rest. Don't look at your phone. Maybe use a weighted blanket, something nice and comfortable. Make sure you're sleeping and or resting in a comfortable state. And then make sure that light doesn't hit you on the way in. So I literally just put up cardboard, like a trap house on my windows, but it works for me. Kind of just creates this like slumber. I'm in my slumber, this dungeon. So try it out for yourself. If you haven't, it might work for you. Sleep recovery, pretty important stuff. It's gonna be our first entry into A tier. Reason why it doesn't hit S is because I feel like there's a couple more things that just edge it out a little bit, but it's still a very important thing. Do not underestimate it. Rolling on to method number 4. Method number 4. Locking that diet, the fudge in. And we got this funny picture of Patrick when he ate too much chocolate. It's not that it gets overlooked. I just think that people don't take it as seriously as it needs to be. Not only does this pertain for your fitness and health wellness goals, but also how you look. The way we look is reflected by the food that we intake. If you eat a lot of oily, fat types of foods, a lot of times you're gonna have oily skin. And that doesn't look that cute, you know what I'm saying? You don't want oily skin. I used to eat a lot of McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King, etc. And I would always complain about how like my nose was oily or my face was oily and I had some acne, blah, 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 blah. But in reality, look what I ate. It was poo. So simple optimization method here. Once a day, eat at least a high protein food, whether that's meat or if you're vegan. I don't know what the vegans eat, fake meat. Vegetable, some type of micronutrient. Get a good fat in. Avocado is a great fat. I like nuts. After that, pick 2 or 3 times in the day where you're gonna eat, and then just lock it in at that time to make everything consistent. Consistency is the most important thing here. If you stick to it and you adhere to it, there's a good chance that it's gonna have a profound effect because you're doing it. That doesn't mean you can't have fun snacks or sweets. I eat brownies and ice cream on a somewhat regular basis during the week, but more than 90% of my foods are good foods. I keep it pretty regulated, and that's the way that I've been able to maintain, this nice look for so long. Not only is diet gonna affect how your body composition is, but it's gonna affect how you feel on the inside. And isn't that what matters? How you feel in your heart, in la corazón. With that being said, diet is going to be an entry into S tier, our third entry. This is one of the pillars. Put some good stuff in your mouth for once, okay? All right, moving on to method number 5. Get yourself a haircut, boy. So we got this cool picture of Thrag getting a sick fade from his barber, looking blurry as hell. It's more important than you think, okay? So your face shape, you got different types of face shapes. You got like oval, round like me, square, rectangle, heart shape, you name it. And the way that you have your haircut is gonna influence the way you look. You gotta pick a hairstyle that suits your face and your head shape. I haven't had a haircut in a while because I'm just kind of going flow state here a little bit, but it kind of works for me. You gotta pick what works for you. So you got to experiment with it, try out different hairstyles, just have fun with it, man. And if you have a certain hairstyle that you want to get, just get it, right? It doesn't have to be what's trending. It doesn't have to be like what's so cool right now, because in reality, if it looks good for you, that's the most important thing. So simple optimization techniques for getting a haircut. Just get a haircut that fits your head shape, something that you like, and find a good barber or a stylist that you can get these cuts consistently with, and you're pretty much set. Worst case scenario, unless you're completely bald, your hair will grow back and you can get a haircut again. So with that being said, we're gonna put getting a haircut first entry into B tier. I don't think it's the most important thing here, but it does have some significance. You can still look pretty cool if you're bald. There's a lot of bald people out there that look pretty cool, so can't be that bad. Moving on to method number 6. Method number 6, swag. We got this sick picture of Kamina from Gurren Lagann, one of my most favorite animes of all time. If you know this guy, you're already sick in my book. I feel like this gets discussed about, but I want to kind of go into it a little bit from my personal experience. I went to a Catholic school for elementary, middle school, high school, and college. So we had uniforms. So I did not wear my own personal clothing except for on the weekends. So by the time I became an adult, I was just like, what do I do? I basically just wear the same stuff all the time, and I get a couple pieces of clothing that I think look cool. And I just kind of like keep wearing it. But there's a lot of people that cycle different types of looks for different seasons, all that kind of stuff. And that's totally cool. I'm here to say that as long as you have certain pieces of clothing, a nice pair of shorts, a nice pair of jeans, nice shirts, and then like dress clothes for like formal events and stuff like that, I don't think you have to go that crazy with it. You just need simple things just to look better in general. As long as the clothes fit and they're not torn and ragged, that's all you really need. To me, as long as everything else looks good, your hair, your skin, your physique, I don't think the clothes matter as much, to be honest. Having a not super crazy wardrobe has never affected me in a negative way. And I feel like that's because I kind of lock everything else in. So the maximization method for this, pretty simple. Just find clothes that fit you, make sure they look nice and they're not super dirty. And I think you're all set. The physique, the skin, the hair is all way, way more important than the types of clothes that you have on. With that being said, swag is actually going to be our first entry into the C tier. If you want to focus on it, that's really cool, but I don't think ultimately in the hierarchy that it is gonna trump all these big ones. Finally, moving on to our last method. Method number 7, stress management. And we have this cool picture of Higurama from Jujutsu Kaisen being very stressed out. I believe this topic doesn't get talked about quite as much in the softmaxing community, but stress management I think is very important because it affects how you feel and you look day to day. Have you ever seen those pictures or timelines of every president when they first take their presidency to once they finish? You could just see how hard they age from the beginning all the way to the end. There's a lot of sauce to that. Your entire time of being president is not chill. So your cortisol spiked. Spiked cortisol, you're not relaxed. You know, you're just go, 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 go. I mean, it's a part of the job, right? It is a part of the job, but in the sense of looking your best, stress is not your friend. You're not gonna eliminate stress completely in your life. That's not realistic. That's not what we're trying to say here. But what we're trying to say is you wanna manage the unnecessary stress of your life. That could be people that were friends, but they're not really your friends, situations that you don't like, maybe potentially having a job you enjoy that doesn't like suck your soul dry and leave you empty, soulless vessel. All of that comes together and it affects you. Not only does it affect your soul, but it affects all you see here. I live a pretty relatively stress-free life, but that's because I also live a simple life. There's a couple things I really like to do. I like making content. I like to work out. I like cars and like playing video games and watching anime. I keep things really simple and really cuts out a lot of unnecessary BS. When you invite more BS in your life, that's when the stress goes up. So I would suggest to you guys is that figure out what causes unnecessary stress in your life. And when you find it, cut it out. Especially if you're a lot younger, you're gonna thank yourself in the future. Stress management optimization for me looks like this. Cut out all unnecessary BS, whether that's people that are BS or things that are going on in your life that you can choose not to do. I'd say cut it out. You can't lose your peace. It will reflect in how you feel every single day, which will also reflect how you look. You're probably gonna be smiling more. You're probably gonna look bouncier and your skin is healthier and you're gonna have a glow. Number 2, find something to de-stress yourself. You know, whether that's cranking the hog, right? Taking a nice warm bath. Do an Epsom salt bath. Do a hot tub if you have access to one. And if you can't, go find one. The more you can do that, the more methods that you can find that you know relaxes you, the better it's going to be for your look. You're gonna thank me later. So stress management is gonna be our final entry into the S tier. Yes, we have 4 S tiers for this video because I picked out some really good reasons. That's all I got for this video today. I wanted to keep it short and sweet, just give a little bit of knowledge that's helped me, and hopefully it'll help you, because that's how the world goes around. We gotta help each other. So use these methodologies, get out there, and softmax to your heart's content. Peace!